Hello, Dylan here, and welcome to another episode of my favorite anime characters. And with this one, we'll be talking about Fairy Tail, previously one of my most favorite anime that I was watching. Forgot when it changed, but anyway, it was one of my like top favorite anime to watch. And oh yeah, and instead of the three usual categories I normally do, we're gonna have four categories for this particular one. Those four categories will be waifu, best boy, dragon slayer, and then overall favorite character. I had to add the dragon slayer because there's lots of dragon slayers. There's 7 dragon slayers, and I just thought I'd add that extra category for this one. Now, for what was the first one? Waifu. For waifu, I chose Livy McGarden because honestly, out of all the other characters, she's the one I kind of connected with more because of, I don't know, the intelligence that she has and the adorableness, and then she still has that kind of fighting spirit, and she also has really good magic. I really like her magic. Her, what was it, solid script magic, I think it was called. And honestly, she was like my number one pick for waifu for Fairy Tail for a long time. I mean, some people probably go with like Lucy or Mira, or I'm trying to think of another one, Juvia maybe, or Ursa. Well, maybe not completely Ursa, but I went with like a not as obvious choice. So I wanted to go with someone that was not as obvious as well. Whenever I was, not just for this video, but also just my own personal opinion for waifu of Fairy Tail, I just wanted to pick someone that not everyone would have picked. So yeah, I went with Levy because of how intelligent, because of, yes, intelligence. Her magic is pretty unique, and I mean, she's best friends with Lucy. She's also one of Lucy's best friends at the same time, and her relationship with Gajil is like one of the best. Anyway, that's all I'll talk about for waifu, because we have 4 categories instead of 3. And so the next category, best boy, which it's kind of one of those obvious ones that a lot of people are probably gonna choose. That is, of course, the technically not the main protagonist, because Lucy's the main protagonist. In case people didn't know, she's actually the protagonist. But the best boy for me is obviously Natsu, because he is loyal and uh, yeah, Natsu right here. He's loyal. He's one of the first people we meet in the whole series. Actually, no, we meet. No, do we meet Natsu first or Lucy first? I don't remember. But he's also like very protective of his family, and like he can go from like adorable to how dare you attack them, I'm gonna hurt you, are I'm gonna destroy you. You can go from that to that. Did the light just go? Sorry, it's very cloudy today, so there's not a lot of good light right now. Oh, that's a bit better. Okay. Anyway, again about Natsu. All the like he has his own sidekick, and he's very compassionate about a lot of his things, a lot of things about him. Yeah, and then there's also the smile of his. Everyone's like, he always has that cheerful smile about him all the time. He has his goofy sides as well. Yeah, and one of the biggest things for him is that he will fight his friends, but not to like actually kill them or anything, nothing like that. He fights them to just as like a test of strength kind of thing. He will never actually want to actually hurt them lethally. That's what he said in this final season, that he never wants to, like whenever he's always craving for fights all the time. But he's doing it as like not to kill anyone. He just wants to have fun and just see how strong someone is. That's all it really is. That's all. That's all. The only reason he actually likes fighting a lot. He just wants to gauge someone's strength and his own strength against their strength. And that's it. And that's why he gets like super serious whenever someone actually kills or attempts to kill someone else. Kills or attempts to kill someone else. Oh yeah, he's also the being very protective of Lucy after a certain episode in the 2014 version series, for the second series of Fairy Tail, the series that was before this final season. And it, like how, I mean, what I'm going to probably be showing is the one is from the movie, but from the first movie, but it's still. But so he's very protective of Lucy by now, because of what happened in the I forgot what the arc name is. The Eclipse arc, I think, something like that. The Grand Magical Game arc, the end of the Grand Magical Games arc. Okay, so that's who I picked for. That's what that is right. So yeah, that's who I picked for best boy was Natsu, because loyal, compassionate, cares about his friends, and he's just like an overall actually a nice person, despite of, like I said, despite of him always wanting to fight. And I just really like how he's always protective of his family, and especially Lucy. Okay, next is I think I said Dragon Slayer. Yeah, the Dragon Slayers. Which, this is a different kind of different kind of reasoning for picking which is my favorite Dragon Slayer, because it is not Natsu. Because when you think of dragons, you think of fire, so that's kind of like the ordinary kind of attack. So I wanted to go with someone that was different. And of course, there's a lot of them that are different. Obviously, there are a lot of them that are different. I mean, you can't say windy, because wind is also a kind of sort of an attribute for dragons at the same time. So it was down to Gagiel, Cobra, Loxus, if you haven't named them all, Sting, and Rogue. Yeah, it was down to those five. So, and the one I picked is different, obviously different reasons, but the one I picked was Sting. Say his last name right, Euclid, and that is because he was not only was his character interesting, but so was the dragon slaying magic, because it is something that I've never really thought I would see. Which is the white dragon slayer magic. Like that's just interesting in itself, just by name. And seeing and his dragon force looks awesome, and I guess I can spoil this a little bit. When he fuses his magic with Rogue's shadow dragon slaying magic, and it's like half white on one side and half black on the other. That was really, really incredible. I just really like his magic and how his character turned kind of almost a 180 by after the Grand Magical games, because he saw how the Master of Sabretooth was, how manipulative and ruthless his master truly is. Overall, his personality is somewhat on par with Natsu's. Sting kind of grew up with Natsu as kind of a role model, anyway, so of course he would have some of Natsu's traits. But like I said, I chose Sting because of his specific dragon slaying magic. Okay, the last one here is my overall favorite character in all of Fairy Tail. And I feel like this is some people's overall favorite character as well. And that, surprisingly, is the main villain, Zeref. Because, of course, of his backstory that you learn in the final season, or more of in the final season, I should say. And how he has, like, I know there was in a recent episode of Natsu trying to break logic with family, which of course I know is kind of one of those stupid plot armor crap, but for Zeref, it was such a different kind of villain for a series, because most villains most villains are kind of like they're just doing it because they want to, or not most villains. Like the general kind of villain would be doing it just because. But Zeref has had his own reasons, and he's had his own plot, which is finally somewhat coming to fruition in this final season. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to spoil some stuff so I can talk about why I like him as my favorite character. Because it is revealed that he has a curse called the Curse of Contradiction that was given to him how many years ago? 400 years ago? Something like that. That caused him to not cause him, but cause anyone not around him, but more or less people he cared about. If he cared about someone more, then they would just die. The more he loved humanity, the more they would die. So he had to literally harden his heart from humanity in order to actually save humanity. He had to hate humanity to save humanity. If that's kind of the point of why it's called the Curse of Contradiction. because it contradicts of him. He wants to save them, but he has to hate them to save them, to keep from killing them on accident. And the fact that he fell in love with Mavis, who ended up with a similar curse, immortality. Yeah, actually, no, it was it was either the same or a very similar curse. And that they fell in love, and then when they kissed, Mavis kind of, well, Mavis obviously died. I don't know if I don't know if she actually died, because she went into the lacrima, into that lacrima that's below the guild, and then I'm still trying. I mean, I've known about all this for ever since the manga ended, so. And it's like kind of like a refresher when I'm watching the anime. And I'm not gonna say, the one spoiler I will not say is Zero's last name. For I don't know why I'm already spoiling a lot. It's Dragneel. His last name is Dragneel. He's Natsu's brother. Natsu is actually 400 something years old. Okay? There. If you weren't caught up with the fairy tale, then that's your own fault. Because it is amazing. Anyway. Like, when you first meet him, he's like crying, and it looks like he has amnesia or something. And whenever you learn the truth, all this truth about him, and if you go back and watch, you'll realize some of the stuff that is going on. Like, you'll be able to make more sense when you go back. And watch, like, whenever Zero first appeared. And I don't know. I just also his magic is his own personal magic is unique in its own sense. I don't even know what his magic is technically even called. If it's just called Curse of Contradiction, or if part of the Curse of Contradiction, or if it's, I don't know. I think it's part of Curse of Contradiction, but I feel like I'm running this video on too long. But yeah, that's honestly all I can say right now, really. That's all I can say about. So I guess I'll end this video here. Oh, if you want me to do another episode on a specific anime, leave a comment of what anime you would want me to talk about my favorite characters in an anime that you want me to talk about. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, why not considering giving it a like and subscribe for some more anime videos, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.